His parents are dying, but he can only save one. He's just a young boy, but he's facing the hardest decision of his life. Both of his parents are dying, and there's only one thing that can save them, a kidney. But here's the twist, he can only give one. Who does he choose? The mother who raised him with endless love, or the father who taught him everything about life? The clock is ticking, and the pressure is unbearable. Watch as this heart-wrenching journey unfolds, and see how one boy's love is put to the ultimate test. Ethan sat in the hospital waiting room, his hands shaking. His mind was foggy, and his heart was heavy. Both of his parents were dying. His mother had kidney failure, and his father's health was rapidly declining due to heart disease. The doctors had said only one of them could survive, because only one of them could get the kidney transplant they both needed. And there was only one person who could help, Ethan. The doctors had told him that his kidney was a perfect match for both of them, but it was impossible for him to give both of them a kidney. He had to choose which parent would live and which one would die. His mother's face came to his mind first. She had always been there for him, loving him unconditionally. She was the one who held him when he cried, who taught him right from wrong. But his father was the one who had always pushed him to be better, to do better. The man who had worked tirelessly to support their family. Ethan stood by the window, looking out at the city below. The sky was darkening, and the weight of his decision pressed on him harder than ever. Could he really choose between the two people who had given him everything? The nurse had told him to take his time, but time was running out. His father was in critical condition, and his mother's dialysis was no longer working. They both needed the kidney desperately, but only one would get it. The phone in his pocket buzzed. He glanced at the screen, a message from his mother. "Ethan, I know you're struggling. Whatever you decide, we love you." He closed his eyes, fighting back the tears. How could he choose? How could he choose who would live and who would die? Ethan felt the weight of the message in his hand. He had just read it over and over, his heart torn between the two people who meant everything to him. The clock on the wall ticked away, and each second felt like a lifetime. He had to make the call. He had to decide which parent to save. The doctors had made it clear. If he didn't make a decision soon, it would be too late. His mother's voice echoed in his memory. "Ethan, you can do anything you put your mind to." Those words had been his guiding light throughout his life. She had always believed in him. He couldn't let her go. But then his father's face came to mind, his worn-out smile, his hands rough from years of hard work. He had always been the rock of their family, the one who never showed weakness. Ethan owed him so much. How could he choose between the two people who had shaped him? He was losing control of his thoughts. The pressure, the panic, it was too much. The hospital phone rang. Ethan jumped, startled by the sound. He picked it up quickly, hoping for answers, some kind of relief from the torment. But the voice on the other end only made his heart race faster. "Ethan," the doctor's voice was calm, but there was something behind it, a sense of urgency. "We need an answer. Your father's condition is worsening. If you don't act now, it may be too late." Ethan's hands trembled as he held the phone to his ear. His throat tightened, and he struggled to breathe. I don't know what to do," he whispered, his voice breaking. There was a long pause before the doctor spoke again. "You need to understand something. If you don't choose, neither of them may make it. The transplant needs to happen soon, today. If you wait any longer, we won't have the time." Ethan's stomach twisted in knots. His mind raced. If he gave his kidney to one, would the other die without a chance? Could he live with that? Tears filled his eyes and his body shook. How could anyone make such a decision? How could he choose between the people who had given him life? His love for both of them was equal, so why did he have to choose? A soft knock on the door interrupted his thoughts. It was the nurse, her eyes kind and understanding. "Ethan," she said gently, "there is something you need to know. Your mother, she's awake." Ethan's heart stopped. His mother was awake. For a moment, he thought he must have misheard her. His mind was a blur, but there was one thing he knew for sure. He had to make a choice now. He rushed to his mother's room, his heart pounding in his chest. When he entered, she looked up at him with tired eyes, a faint smile on her lips. "Mom," he whispered, taking her hand. I don't know what to do." She squeezed his hand weakly. "Ethan." Her voice was soft, but it held a quiet strength that he remembered. "You don't have to decide alone. You know what's in your heart. I've always trusted you to do what's right." Tears streamed down his face as he looked at her, his world crumbling under the weight of his decision. Could he really live with the choice he was about to make? Would he ever be able to forgive himself? The room seemed to grow smaller, the walls closing in as he thought of his father, slipping away in the next room, and his mother, fragile but fighting for her life. The clock was ticking. There was no turning back now. Ethan stood at his mother's bedside, her frail hand clasped tightly in his. The room seemed to fade around him, the constant beeping of the machines in the background blending into a dull hum. His mind felt like a storm, chaotic and relentless. How could he choose? How could he live with himself after making a decision that would mean the world to one and destroy the other? But just as the weight of his indecision began to crush him, a voice interrupted his spiraling thoughts. "Ethan, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry," his mother whispered, her voice barely audible. He leaned in closer, trying to catch her every word. His heart skipped a beat. "Mom, what are you sorry for? You've done nothing wrong." Her gaze drifted to the window, and for a moment, Ethan thought she was fading away again. But then she turned her eyes back to him, her expression filled with a sadness he couldn't place. "I've known about your father's condition for weeks," she said softly, her eyes brimming with tears. "I didn't want to tell you. I didn't want to burden you. But there's something you need to understand." Ethan's chest tightened. What was she talking about? What could possibly be more important than what was happening right now? "What is it, Mom?" he asked, his voice trembling. I'm not your real mother," she confessed, the words hanging in the air like a bomb waiting to explode. Ethan froze. The world seemed to tilt beneath him, and for a moment, everything blurred. He had heard her wrong. This couldn't be happening. He shook his head, trying to push away the confusion. "What do you mean?" His voice was hoarse, almost afraid to ask. His mother's eyes filled with sorrow. "I know this is hard to understand, but your real mother, she died when you were a baby. The woman who raised you, who loved you, wasn't the one who gave birth to you. Your father, he made a deal to save you. He gave away a part of his soul to keep you alive. And I wasn't supposed to be here." The truth hit Ethan like a tidal wave, knocking him off balance. He staggered backward, his hands gripping the edge of the bed to steady himself. Everything he thought he knew about his life was unraveling in an instant. The woman who had been his mother, his protector, wasn't even his real mother? She continued, her voice fragile. "When I became your mother, I thought I could give you everything. But now, I know the truth. I wasn't supposed to live this long. Your father's deal, it was meant to keep you alive, but at a cost. I've lived far longer than I was meant to." Ethan felt as if the room was spinning. His father's words from years ago echoed in his mind, moments he had long forgotten. He had always wondered why his father seemed so distant, so haunted. Now he understood. "I don't have much time left, Ethan," she whispered. "And neither does your father. You have to choose who will live and who will die." Ethan's knees gave way, and he collapsed onto the chair beside the bed. His mind was reeling. The woman who had given him life wasn't his mother? The truth felt like a betrayal, yet at the same time, there was something deep in his chest that told him this was the right time to learn the truth. But this was too much. "Mom, I don't know what to do," he choked out, his voice thick with emotion. Her hand reached up weakly, brushing his hair away from his face. "Ethan, you are strong. You always have been. You'll know what to do when the time comes. Trust your heart. Don't let the guilt eat you alive." Before Ethan could respond, a loud crash echoed from the hallway. A scream. His heart stopped. Without thinking, he bolted out of the room, his breath shallow and quick. What now? When he reached the hallway, he saw his father, barely conscious, being supported by a nurse. Blood was dripping from a cut on his forehead, his face pale. "Dad!" Ethan rushed to him, panic gripping his chest. His father's eyes met his, filled with pain, and something else. A strange, almost sad smile formed on his lips. "I knew you would be here," his father whispered, his voice raspy. "Ethan, I need you to know something. I didn't want you to suffer from the truth, but I've always loved you. Even if I wasn't your biological father, I loved you more than anything in this world." Tears blurred Ethan's vision as his father's words sank in. The truth was so much more than he could handle. The woman who raised him wasn't his real mother, and now his father, his real father, was slipping away. "I'm sorry," his father rasped, as the nurse tried to steady him. "But you have to make a choice. Don't make it for me. Make it for you." Ethan's world shattered in that moment. The pain, the confusion, the betrayal, it all came crashing down. But as he looked at the two people he loved most in the world, he knew that no matter what decision he made, it would haunt him forever. The twist of fate was cruel, and Ethan had no idea how to handle it. One life had to be saved, and the other lost. And no matter which choice he made, someone would hate him for it. Ethan stood there, caught in the middle of two worlds, two lives, two futures. His heart pounded in his chest as his father's weakened form leaned against the nurse. His mind raced. He had to make the decision, but every second felt like a betrayal. The clock on the wall ticked louder with each passing moment, each second dragging him further into the abyss of despair. His father, despite the blood and the pain, looked up at him with clear, steady eyes. There was no fear in his gaze, no regret. There was only love. "Son," his father whispered, his voice stronger than it had been in days. "You've always had a heart full of love. But sometimes love means letting go." Ethan's throat tightened. He couldn't speak, couldn't find the words to respond. "Ethan," his mother's voice called from the doorway, soft but resolute. She was sitting up in her bed now, her strength returning in small, fragile bursts. "The truth is we're both dying. But we've lived full lives. You don't have to carry our burdens anymore." Ethan walked slowly toward her, his every step feeling like a weight on his soul. She smiled gently as he took her hand, her eyes tired but filled with wisdom. "You've always been our light," she continued. "But now it's time for you to live for yourself. The hardest part is not the choice, it's what comes after. You must find peace, no matter what you decide. It's not the life you give, but the love you carry forward that matters." His heart broke at her words. He had always been their child, the one they protected, the one they gave everything for. And now they were asking him to choose who would live. His mind screamed and his heart bled. His father coughed weakly, and his eyes met Ethan's, speaking volumes without words. "There's something I need to tell you," his father said, his voice gravelly. "When I made that choice, to save you, I never wanted you to feel the burden. But if I had known you would have to make this decision, I would have chosen it again. Because I love you that much." Ethan felt his breath catch in his throat. His father's sacrifice, his love, all of it had been for him. It was not a choice of life or death. No, it was a lesson. A lesson that love, true love, meant being willing to make the impossible choice for the one you loved. His parents had done it for him all his life. Now it was his turn to do it for them. A tear slipped down his cheek, but this time it wasn't from pain. It was from the understanding, the wisdom, the grace his parents had given him. They had prepared him for this moment, without even knowing it. "I can't," Ethan said through his tears, shaking his head. "I can't choose between you." His mother squeezed his hand. "You don't have to. You're not choosing who dies. You're choosing who lives." Ethan swallowed hard, his chest tight. The weight of his decision was still unbearable, but a part of him knew it wasn't just about the transplant. It was about the love he carried for both of them. And in that love, he found his answer. He turned to his father, then to his mother. His voice was steady, filled with the certainty that had eluded him until now. "I'll donate my kidney to my mother," he said, his voice clear but filled with emotion. "Because I know she has more time left to make a difference in the world. You've already taught me all I need to know. I won't let you down." His father's eyes softened and he nodded. "I understand, son. You've made the right choice." His mother smiled through her tears. "You are stronger than you think, Ethan. We've both done what we could. Now you must live for yourself. Don't carry our pain with you. Live, love, and never forget that we're proud of you." The hospital room seemed to shift as Ethan made his way to the operating room. The decision had been made, but it wasn't about the transplant. It was about the legacy of love, the sacrifice, and the lessons his parents had given him. Years passed, and Ethan went on to live a full life. His mother recovered, thanks to the transplant, and his father's passing, though painful, had been peaceful. Ethan carried his parents' words with him every day. Live for yourself, love deeply, and never regret the choices you make. He became a man who understood the true meaning of sacrifice, not just for the ones you love, but for yourself as well. He learned to forgive, to let go of guilt, and to find peace with the decisions life demanded of him. Ethan never forgot the lesson his parents taught him. Sometimes the hardest choices are the ones that shape us into who we're meant to be. And with each day, he carried their love forward, sharing it with those around him, knowing that in the end, love was the greatest gift of all.